Welcome to StoryMe's, I don't know, probably 7th or 8th webinar. This one will all be about customer care. So if you've been following along with all of our webinars, that's really exciting. And if you haven't, I think Mart and Tina, they're managing the chat. They'll go ahead and share some links at the end of the webinar to go ahead and share some of our past webinars with you. Bear with us today because we are trying out a new platform. So let us know if there's any technical errors, or if you can't hear me, let us know so we can go ahead and fix it right away. But let's get started. So like I said, today is going to be all about customer care. And how I've kind of structured is a really short why video, very short. And then I'm really just going to dive into those different touch points that you interact with a customer once they become a customer, and how you can kind of videofy those. And at the end, my colleague Matthias is going to come up here. He's going to join me and we're going to answer any questions you have. So as the webinar goes through, go ahead and ask us questions in the chat. We're going to compile them and answer them all at the end. So kind of starting out with why video. It's how I always kind of start out these webinars. Kind of what I want to talk about is the funnel. You obviously have the awareness, consideration, decision, delight funnel. And we notice a lot of times marketeers, they'll be focusing on that upper funnel. How do we get leads? How do we convert? How do we get the sales? And of course, that's super important. But sometimes we kind of forget that delight phase. Once they are a customer, how can you make them want to stay with you and become brand ambassadors and become really loyal? And that content doesn't always have to be expensive, but you want to make sure that you're having a dialogue with them and creating content that makes them feel more than just a dollar sign. And another big reason why that's so important is it actually costs 8 times more to obtain a new customer than keep an existing one. So it's really important that in that delight phase and that customer care phase, that you're doing a lot to make them happy to be a part of your brand and your company and involved with your brand and your company. It can go a long way, and for the bottom line of the company. So when we do workshops, keynotes, any sort of video brainstorm, we kind of use a roadmap like this. I made this one custom for today with customer care in mind. And basically, they're the different touch points that you can have in this customer care phase. And usually what we'll use is these boards we'll map out, okay, how do these touch points look right now? And how can we find the right video solutions that can optimize and improve these touch points with video. So it's kind of what I'm going to do today. I'm going to walk through these different touch points, and I'm going to inspire you with different video solutions and different video approaches to kind of, optimize these touch points. So if you're watching along, of course, it's not that you're going to be able to create all these videos or improve all these touch points. So for you, figure out where is the touch point lacking, where are customers getting frustrated, where can we improve? And then definitely focus on the video content there. And then over the years, you can expand to other touch points as well. But if you're following along, of course, I'm going to cover every touch point. But if you're getting started with video and customer care, it's not that you're going to be able to make videos in every touch point right away. It takes time, and you have to figure out where you need to roll it out to. So let's kind of start and dive into these touch points and inspire you on videos. So we're going to start with that first touch point, which is getting started. So of course, marketing did its job in getting them a lead, and sales did their job in converting them. And now it's time to introduce them to the product or service in a positive way. So I think, of course, the first thing you can think of is a welcome video, something to just make them feel warm and fuzzy, highlight the people within the company, and just, kind of put a face to the people behind your brand. I think this is especially important if you are a SaaS company where sometimes the touch points are impersonal, or other companies where maybe you don't see the people behind the brand. For instance, I'm going to show this video from Wistia. They are a SaaS company. And once you join them, you get this nice welcome video like this.
Excited to hear about how you plan to use video and how we can help. On the call, we'll walk through key Wistia features, video marketing best practices, and how to set you up for success.
From all of us at Wistia, we really are so glad you're here. We can't wait to see you become a video marketing rockstar.
In the meantime, watch our office dog Lenny perform a trick for a baby carrot. Thanks for watching.
Speak.
A little bit to the end of the video, and you maybe didn't get to see the beginning of video. Maybe we can go back and show the beginning of it.
Hi there, I'm Luis.
And I'm Erica, and we just wanted to say,
welcome to Wistia!
We are super
excited that you decided to give Wistia a try.
You're probably checking out Wistia because you know you can be getting more out of your videos. That's where we come in. At Wistia,
Can you hear me now? Okay, I think we got muted for a second. But again, I think that's why video can be so powerful in this welcome phase, is that it can really humanize that touch point and that first touch point with a customer. And it can definitely bring the people who work so hard on your brand and product to the front of the stage and really get them connected with the customers that they're helping. And that's why I think video in general can be really powerful in this customer care phase. The next company and the next kind of approach I want to highlight is Be Frank. The reason I want to highlight them was, first, if you don't know who they are, they do like pension administration. But the reason I want to highlight them is because they kind of had a little bit of a different challenge. They had this new web portal. And so for new customers, they wanted to say, hey, welcome, let's get you set up with this web portal. But they also had existing customers that they needed to shift to this web portal as well. So for them, obviously, they're not going to say, welcome, let's get you on this new portal. Instead, they're going to say, thanks for being with us for so long. We're adapting to you. Let's get you on this portal. So the messaging is going to be slightly different, but they structured their video in a really strategic way so they could kind of make two videos out of one. I'm just going to show one of the videos. For those who are English speaking, I'm sorry, it is in Dutch, but don't worry. The slide I'm going to show after is actually the most important part of it, but I'll give you a little taste of what it looked like.
Een rekeningnummer en nou, deze is van jou. Welkom bij Be Frank. We zijn ontzettend blij met jou als nieuwe klant. Via je werkgever bouw je bij ons je pensioen op, zodat je altijd en overal eenvoudig en online inzicht hebt. Jongens, moeten we niet keihard aan de slag voor deze klant? Nee. Misschien denk je dat je geen invloed hebt op je pensioen, maar...
So what's nice about this video is, just like Wistia, they actually put their CEO and the real people behind the company in front of the camera. I know that can be scary for some people, but it really adds a nice human touch. And the part that I really want to emphasize is they did build their story in a very smart way. What they did was, of course, getting you onboarding to the portal, whether you're new or existing, it's the same process, it's the same message. So you don't have to necessarily create two videos, but that intro part, those two were filmed specifically with the messaging of the audience in mind. So the intro for the new customer was welcome, whereas the existing customer was, hey, you've been with us for a while. But then the next 1 minute of the video after that intro was the exact same. So it's not that you necessarily always have to create two videos. Figure out how you can streamline your production process to get the most out of your video. So a lot of that, of course, is in that digital space, but sometimes people are brick and mortar, or maybe you're going to set up a lot of meetings with people or have clients come over and see something. Well, I don't know about you, but I often get lost on my way to go places. You have an address, you have Google Maps, but it only gets you so far. If the building's complicated, how you get there is complicated. Well, sometimes it's a lot better just to go ahead and send them video to show them how to get there. And it's actually something we do here at StoryMe. Why? Because it's actually really complicated to get here, so it kind of needed to be done. But also, it's just like a nice way for someone to just look at it and do it as, watch the video as they're kind of coming to StoryMe and they realize, how do I get there? So let's go ahead and take a look at how you can come see me at StoryMe. So if you're noticing, like we did, that a lot of clients or customers are getting lost and not really sure where to go, well, then maybe that's definitely something that can be improved by showing them, videofying that content rather than just writing out a list of instructions or just depending on Google Maps alone. So of course, when you come to StoryMe, you're not always going to get confetti, but if you give us enough notice, maybe. Okay, so you welcome them, they know how to get to where you're going, but of course there's a lot more information that they're going to need to know, especially when they're first starting with something. You're going to want to help them figure out how to get onboarded, whether it's a product or a service or even like a software. You're going to want to help them, walk them through the steps. So I think onboarding is actually one of very important videos that you do want to have, because if not, they're kind of left on their own to try and figure it out. And you don't want that. You want to reduce the frustration in that first touch point, and onboarding videos can be really powerful to help them as they get used to your product or service. So kind of going to start with a SaaS example. I'm going to show you a product example, and I'm going to show you kind of more of a, I don't know, an event example. So I want to start with Asana. This is a SaaS platform, of course. So for them, it was really about showing how to use their product in a really slow and easy to follow way. So let's go ahead and show the video, and then I'll talk about it some more.
Slate, you can see how simple it is to set up a project, which means you can start getting value out of Asana right away. A project list works a lot like a document. Create tasks by typing and pressing enter. Add sections to organize your tasks. Asana is as fast as writing a document, but far more dynamic and connected to all your data. You can also add assignees, due dates, and start dates to each task. You can involve more teammates by adding them as task followers or project members, so everyone can stay informed as the project progresses.
I think the big thing that companies who are a platform, for instance, or they have constantly changing product or service, one of the things they say is, okay, well, video can be expensive, and if we're like, for instance, a SaaS company, every 6 months you're improving your product, so you're changing, and there's going to be maybe a new interface, things like that. Well, I think, for instance, that's not where you want to spend a lot of money, of course, on like a really high-end onboarding video. Maybe you have a nice intro that can stay the same no matter how the product changes. But when it comes to creating that video, make it a simple screen grab. Record your screen, have a nice voiceover, and just walk them through. Then when it comes time 6 months later, and maybe your interface changes or one part of the login is a little bit different, well, you can either go into the video, cut out that part, and replace it with a new screen grab, or you can just simply re-screen grab your screen or your phone or whatever your product lives on and just re-walk them through it again. So it's a really simple video that this can really be a powerful DIY video. It doesn't have to be a very expensive video, because what they need is just help. So the content and what you're saying is really important, not so much flares and making it cool transitions. But of course, maybe you're not a SaaS, but that's not a problem. I think video is also very important if you're not a SaaS to also help them. For instance, Matthias, who's going to be doing the Q&A with me, bought this seat for a bike for his child. And I don't know, I look at it and it already looks really complicated to set up. So of course he gets it, you get a manual. But what was unique about this is he also got a QR code. So he took out his phone, he scanned the QR code, and it brought him to this video. We don't need to watch how to set up a car seat or a bike seat, but I think what's really powerful is obviously sometimes when you get a more physical product, you're not in that digital space, so it might be harder to get them to go to the content that does live maybe online. But there's ways around it, like that QR code. If you've never used it before, it's really easy to do and it's free to do. It's basically you pull out your camera, you hold it to the QR code, and it takes you to a web page or a landing page where a video exists. It can be a YouTube page or whatever. So if you have more of a physical product, you can still create video and drive people to that video in different ways. For instance, one being QR codes. And the last one I want to show with onboarding is an example from Rijksmuseum. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. But why is just like any sort of, I don't know, museum, event, even trains, for instance. You buy something and you get the email with the ticket in it. And that's kind of it. So you know you're going to go somewhere, you get the ticket, but you don't really know, okay, what's the station going to look like, or where do I go once I have this ticket? Because it's not the same as going and physically buying it at the place. You just have it digitally. And that's what they realized. They realized, okay, you know, just sending them the ticket, it's not really that helpful. So how do we give them the ticket, but also help them in that next step? Kind of blend the question mark or the gray zone that might leave people like, where do I go? And so they created this little video to help walk them through. You have this online ticket. Well, you don't need to wait in this line. You don't need to go here. Just go here and go enjoy the museum. Let's take a look.
Hi there. Soon you will be visiting the Rijksmuseum. Here are some useful tips to help you make it a truly unforgettable experience. Use your online ticket to skip the ticket counter and go straight into the museum. This is the atrium. Here, besides the cloakroom, you'll find the shop and the cafe. You are allowed to bring in small bags and coats, but you can also check them at our cloakroom before entering. Backpacks are not allowed inside the museum and must be checked here. Unfortunately, we are not able to check in suitcases and other large pieces of luggage as our space is limited. At the information desk, you can pick up a floor plan before you go in, so you can quickly find the Night Watch and the Milkmaid, my personal favorites. Feel like doing a fun activity with your kids? Pick up a free 1 kilometer route here, or buy a family guide and explore the museum by doing all kinds of fun exercises. There's no need to print your ticket.
Can you guys hear me now? Cool. So unlike maybe like a SaaS platform where your product is constantly changing and not, in this case, unless you're going to have a whole new renovation of your museum or your store, well, it's pretty easy to go ahead and kind of make this a nicer video to really walk them through the process, especially if you're a big store or you have, you know, kind of clear flows, like for instance, a museum or like an airport or like a train station. So that was kind of to get started. It's just, okay, they're now a customer, they bought something. How can we warm them up and just get them through those first few steps of being a customer? But then of course, as they become after like a bit onboarded, let's say, they're going to want to have to use and discover your product. And that's also where you can come in and really help them after they've been a customer for a couple months to just explore and get better use of the service you guys offer. So in the use discover phase, that's really like, for instance, they might have questions throughout, or how can I do this, or how can I do that? Well, for me, I don't know about you, but for instance, when I had a TV, I literally, even though I had a manual, I just went on Google and I searched, how do I install this TV? Or even when I had like an IKEA mattress, they show pictures. Even then I still went on Google and was like, show me a video of someone doing this because I want to know I'm doing it right. And that's where I think YouTube can be really powerful as a brand for this use and discover, because it's not that they're always going to go to your website. Sometimes they're just going to go and type the question in their internet browser and see what comes up. And as Google is #1 search engine, YouTube is #2, and the #1 place to go for video. It's really powerful to be on YouTube and creating that content, because you want to be the one answering their questions. You want to be the one showing up in their search about your product, and not some random YouTube vlogger who doesn't really know your product and can't communicate, or you kind of don't really control the messaging, you know? And it's like the numbers prove that it's definitely something you want to look into, because searches related to how-to on YouTube are growing 70% year over year. So more and more people are turning to YouTube. More and more people are turning to the internet to just answer their questions. So much so that AT&T, I know they're a big brand, but they even have their own channel just to help customers. Why? Because they didn't really want to mix their customer care with their marketing content. They felt like those were for different audiences with different messages. So they wanted to keep those content in 2 different spaces. So if you're a customer and you needed help, you could go to this channel. And if you're interested in our products or service, you can go to this channel. So maybe if you're a big company, or you have a lot of content and you have a lot of customers, maybe it's more interesting to create your own channel where you can just service them, whether on your landing page or even just having a place to put all your videos for that organic search. Lay's kind of did the same approach. Actually, they realized, okay, we are getting the same questions over and over again. Why are my chips tasting this way? There's a dark spot on my chips. And they had a standard email that they always answer to these top X amount of questions, but they wanted to make it a bit of a nicer touch point. So we actually turned to video. We took the top 6 to 10 questions. I can't remember the exact number, but for sure 6, because I'm showing you 6 different ones. And we just basically videofied them. Let's make it a fun way to kind of explain to these people who have these questions why it is. So let's take a look with this Lay's video. It was a little loud. But yeah, basically what's cool is this video not only answered a question, but it also highlighted some USPs of Lay's. The reason your crunch might be different is because our products are natural and the weather affects our products, or why there's dark spots. Again, our products are super natural. So the environment has a lot of effect on how our product's going to turn out. So the big thing is you might think of that video, and actually it's not just answering those people who come in and ask the questions. It can be used in so many different ways. And that's exactly what Lay's did. That one video served multiple purposes. It answered customers' questions. If they emailed them saying, hey, why do my chips taste differently? Well, we have the answer. Here's a video. But it also helped in that organic search, because not everyone is going to Lay's to ask why their chips taste differently. Some people are just like, my Lay's chips taste weird, and they're just searching it, and Lay's wanted to be answering it. And because they were highlighting USPs by answering these common questions that they realized a lot of people were having, they thought, okay, let's push this video as well a bit. Let's be proactive. Let's answer some people's questions that they have, but they never went out of their way to search for the answer. And we're highlighting our USPs. We're natural. Things determine how our product tastes, the weather, the process, exactly, things like that. So it's kind of cool that they took this one video and they found 3 different ways to interact with people. Another thing is, so I was going on Electrabel, and I was going on their site to help answer one of my questions, and a pop-up came up. And I don't know about you, but every time a pop-up comes up, it's mostly I exit away, because it's trying to get your email or trying to sell you something or whatever. It's trying to somehow market you some product. And this pop-up came up and it said, like, how can we help you? And I was like, actually, I was looking for help. So I ended up showing me the top answers that people were having. So maybe as marketing, as customer care, you can figure out how you can proactive in helping people. If they're exploring your website, they're on the customer care page, or in the question page, have a pop-up be like, hey, we have some answers for you, or is this what you're looking for? So I thought that was kind of really stood out to me on the customer care side. But of course, FAQs, you can also go a long way to educate as well. Sometimes just giving people tips and tricks to get the most out of your product or service can also help them. Maybe they don't have questions, but you can just still go out of your way to give them extra information so that the experience is even better. So for instance, because they might not even realize they're not using your product right. For instance, Airbnb, if you become a host, well, you become a host and most people, they've never run a hotel before. They've never really opened their home up in this way. So they wanted to go ahead and give them tips and tricks on how to be, a good host and how to get the most out of the platform and have the most successful host experience. So they did it with some tips and tricks video like this one. So that was a fun way of showing, this is how you can optimize being a host from other hosts. So that's definitely really fun. But maybe you're B2B and you're like, okay, I'm not B2C, or I guess, I don't know where Airbnb kind of falls. I guess it's a bit B2B, B2C. But maybe you're more B2B like us at StoryMe, where we're working with other companies. So for us, we actually end up doing a tips and tricks video to help other companies, because for them, maybe it's their first time using or creating video in general, not just with us. And of course, the video process is not a simple one. It's a little bit more complex, and it's a new way of looking at content. It's not just like a written words. It takes a lot of different elements, audio, visual, written. And so for us, we realized, okay, we can actually help our customers be better at interpreting video and giving feedback along the way by just sharing some small tips and tricks so that the collaboration on both ends is better. So maybe if you're a B2B, figure out, okay, how do we collaborate with clients and how can we give them tips? Not like tell them what to do or anything like that, not negative, but more positive. And how can we make this collaboration better, and what tips can we give them? And of course, they can give you to make the collaboration better. So this is a video we did over tips on giving feedback.
Ugh, it's
We don't like the colors, the shapes, the typography, the little curly hair on the man's chest.
personally, I don't like the ending. But Joanna and Gina it depends what they think.
Shots 1 and 2 are fine, but please speed up shots 3 and 4 and cut the logo from the end.
Yeah, I flicked through it on the train.
So again, it was for us, we noticed there was a frustration on the customer side that they were giving feedback and they feel like they weren't being heard, but there was a frustration on our side, let's say, because we were taking the feedback, but there was too much room for interpretation. So we weren't able to execute exactly how they envisioned sometimes. So what's cool is by, creating sometimes content when you know you're going to have to collaborate with other people, you can give tips to make that collaboration smoother and a more clear process. And that's kind of what we did. So even if you're B2B, I think there's definitely ways that you can share tips and insights to help make that collaboration even stronger. Also building off is just kind of just showing them this example. For instance, it's a stain product, and just showing them, okay, this is how you do it. This is just walking them through some tips and tricks, but also the process of, staining your outdoor furniture. Or oiling your outdoor furniture. So let's take a look. Also, just so you know, we're going to share this presentation with links to all these videos. So if you want to dive deeper into any one of these videos, you'll have it at the end of the webinar. So you can dive deeper and use it as inspiration yourself. One for a video I want to show in this educate care phase is this one from Stas. Of course, they're like a trucking trailer company. So of course, maybe let's say less of a sexier industry than like Airbnb. But again, you still need to help people. These products are a little bit more complex, a little more technical. And so for them, it was, okay, how can we educate and help you when something goes wrong? So we did it with simplifying it in 5 simple steps, but making it very visual. So it was very easy to kind of fix that problem, reduce that frustration. So let's take a look. So I think with customer care, and I think you'll notice with a lot of these examples, is there are a lot of live examples. And that's because I think with the customer care phase, you want it to, a lot of products, for instance, are very visual. So the best way to help them is to show them, to fix this, you plug this in, to get the most out of this, try this, for instance. So to me, customer care videos tend to lean towards live because to help, you really want to show them their actual product and how to fix it, or their software and click them through the steps. But it also tends to be more live because you want to create a human connection so people are in front of it. But sometimes, like you saw with our feedback video, it was animation. And the reason why was because it was more of a concept. So we're explaining something that maybe it was harder to show with live footage. So it's a balance trying to figure out, okay, is it live or is it not? And I think it kind of goes to what are you trying to to communicate, and how is it going to be best translated, whether it's live by making it human or by really showing the product, or is it animation because that will represent the product better, or that will represent the concept better and help them better. So it's always a challenge to figure out what is the right one, but I think you have to look at, the message and the goal, and it'll kind of make itself clear. So we talked about get started, we talked about use and discover, and now we're going to talk about paying, which of course, it's an important phase, especially if you're like subscription based or you send out invoices. Of course, you want the customer to pay, and sometimes it can be a sensitive topic like, hey, we want you to be our customer, but you also owe us. So how can you kind of make that touch point a little bit smoother, but still kind of encouraging, like to pay the bills that need to have to be paid. So obviously they're not just going to hand over money super easily. But one example I want to show is Verizon. Why I want to show it is they kind of took like a more personal approach to the payment process with their video. They basically created a personalized payment video. But why I want to show it is because whenever you get your first bill, for instance with Verizon, but a lot of other products as well, sometimes that bill is a little bit higher that first time, but after it goes, it's a lot lower because that first bill has some extra fees, like for instance, an installation fee or you bought this certain adapter with it. So it's a little bit more this first bill, but then after it's the bill we agreed upon. So Verizon knew that touch point was, kind of a tricky one. They noticed a lot of people were coming to them like, whoa, this bill's way more than we thought it would be. So they thought, okay, let's smooth this touch point with a video explaining, hey, here's your first bill. We're going to lay out what's in the bill, how much you're saving, and kind of being proactive and communicating why this bill is this amount, rather than getting that call and having to deal with those tickets saying, my bill's higher. So let's go ahead and show the video. But yeah, basically they wanted to reduce that shock factor with their customers when they get their first bill, because it's not what they thought that they would be paying monthly. So let's take a look. And like I said, it's
Welcome to Verizon Fios. If you haven't already received it, expect your first bill to arrive shortly. It may be a little higher than what you expected, so we wanted to walk you through the reasons why. Let's start with the two key elements, your total and the payment due date. This is your total due, and your bill is due on the 30th of the month. Now let's take a look at what it's made up of. This month, there were three main components that contributed to your total: Fios Internet, TV, and Digital Voice Bundle, services and equipment, and partial month charges. Please note, these are not the only components of your bill. There are taxes and fees as well. The first amount that contributed to your total is for your Fios Internet, TV, and Digital Voice Bundle. We've broken down here how much you're saving on each individual service because you bundle them together. You can expect to pay this amount for your bundle on a monthly basis. Next, there were charges for services and equipment. These charges represent either monthly services that are in addition to your bundle or monthly charges for equipment Verizon has provided to enhance your experience. And remember, the best way to make sure all your payments are on time is auto pay. Sign up today and pay your bill automatically every month. Finally, there were one-time activities contributing to this month's total. These are one-time charges that will not be a part of every bill, so your total will change in time. In this case, because you chose to pay for your router in 3 installments, you'll see this amount here on your next 2 bills as well. If you'd like to know more about your bill, the best way to access it is through the My Fios app. Our app allows you to view and pay your bill, manage your account, get help whenever you need it, and much more. Thanks again for joining Fios. We hope this billing video has been helpful to view.
So with Verizon Fios, they basically walked you through the bill, but like I said, it was personalized. So it was basically a video template, and all that data that you saw, the name, their bill cost, their bill due date, the different savings that they had, it was pulled basically from the CRM/billing system. So each video was generated personal to you based on your bill. So again, that's kind of where video and technology are merging together to really be powerful, is instead of making hundreds of videos where you have to change all those elements, now those elements can be pulled in and just generated on the back end for you. Also, what's I think important about this video is they took a touch point that could have been negative. For instance, you get your first bill and it's higher, and they were not only proactive, but they made it something positive. They were like, look, your first bill, yeah, this one's going to be a little bit higher than you expect, but look at how much you're saving because we bundled it and we did these things. So they took something that could be negative and maybe for some people might be negative, but they tried their best to make it positive and be proactive in their communication about it. So again, I think by doing that, you're reducing the number of customer care tickets because less people are calling to be like, why is my bill higher? They got explained why their bill is higher. And again, turning a negative moment into a positive one. Another video I want to show in this kind of billing phase is one from Luminous. It's also personalized. So it totally takes the data. Luminous, it's an energy provider, and they noticed, okay, you know what? We know a lot about energy consumption, not only from individual users, but from areas. For instance, how is the energy consumption of those around you and how you're doing? So during their billing cycle, they wanted that touch point because when you have energy, you have this like big bill once a year, and they wanted it to be a positive one. Like, hey, this is your bill. Let's see how you're doing with energy. How can we optimize it? What are some tips and tricks that we can give you so that your energy consumption can be better? And if you're doing great, let's commend you on it. Let's show how you're doing so much better consuming energy than those around you. So they turned this billing moment into an educational one, but also providing tips and tricks. So they kind of merged a couple of the videos I've mentioned up until now into kind of one, which I think was very powerful. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you one. Again, this is in Dutch. So sorry, but I try to explain it so you would know if you don't speak Dutch.
Beste klant, wij zijn blij dat u al een tijdje vertrouwen hebt in Luminous. Wist u dat u in uw persoonlijke online klantenzone MyLuminous uw energieverbruik kunt beheren en vergelijken met een voorgaande periode of met het verbruik van een gelijkaardig huis? Laten we uw energieverbruik nu eens van dichtbij bekijken. Als we uw elektriciteitsverbruik vergelijken met de voorgaande periode, zien we dat dit gedaald is. Bij vergelijking van uw gasverbruik met de voorgaande periode, zien we dat dit gestegen is. Hoe zit het met het gemiddelde energieverbruik in uw buurt? Verbruikt u meer of minder elektriciteit dan gemiddeld in uw buurt? Blijf zeker uw inspanningen verder zetten. Wij helpen u nog minder te verbruiken.
So whether you are Janine or Carl or whoever, this video is tailored to you and your energy consumption and your location. So where you are and the energy consumption average around your area. So again, this is hyper personalized, super tailored. And again, you pay for the template and the technology, but it's the merger of the two. You have to still have the video assets, but you can end up creating from one video thousands and thousands of videos, which I think in the past was not, well, it was possible, but it was very expensive and very time consuming. And today it can be done at scale and be cost efficient. And we even tested it. So it was a general video was created, not personalized, just, hey, this is how you can save energy, and a more hyper personalized one over their exact energy usage. And actually the click-through rate was so much higher and the video engagement was about 63%. So people were really watching it all the way, almost over half of the way. And a lot of people were getting that email and clicking through to watch it. Again, this video wasn't playing in email. This was actually on a landing page. So I know that I usually get that question when I show that slide is how did you add the video and email? But it was driven to a landing page. So when people got the email about their personal consumption, 57.8% clicked to then watch the video and then watched it until over 0.5%. So yeah, it just shows to show when you're really personalized, people really engage with the message and they really want to watch the content. Okay, so that's pay, but now the next step is inform. So again, just kind of letting them know up front, like, okay, this is what's happening. These are some changes that are happening. Yeah, so for instance, as a company, I said, you're probably gonna have some updates. Your product grows as you grow. So it's important that you're keeping those current customers updated on these are the changes we're making and this is how we're improving, and showing them and letting them learn about those changes. So sometimes it can be as simple as, for instance, a GIF. Asana, for instance, does a lot of changes. And for them, they were like, okay, it's not that every change needs a long video, but sometimes we just need to lightly show it and drive them to an article to learn more. So this is a small GIF. Asana sent an email to show an update they had. But also another GIF. So again, it doesn't always have to be big. KBC started doing live help customer care. Like we will Skype, FaceTime, whatever software they're using, I don't know, but we're gonna have a video call to really help you through your problem and to give you advice. So again, highlighting their customer care, showing them like, hey, look, there's a new way you can reach us. And again, this was just a simple GIF. It's not that you always have to go into some long, in-depth video. But of course, those are maybe some small new changes, but some changes can be big and they can be complex. And then of course, I think it is very important that you really take your time to walk them through those updates and help them get onboarded again in a way. And so that is an example that I want to show with this Philips LimeWire update.
Hey there! You've been selected for this Philips Android-based series firmware update. It's your job to complete this update of your Android firmware. But don't worry, it's my job to help you through it. Before we start, it's important to note that there are two firmware modules that must be updated together: the monitor or Scalar firmware, the Android firmware. You will need a few things before we begin: your Android-based series monitor, a signage remote control, a USB flash drive containing the necessary update, and .bin files for this firmware update. To get the firmware, head to this website. It is important to note that the update.zip and the PHL XXBDL 4050D.bin files can both be copied onto the same USB flash drive, but make sure that they are located in the root of the flash drive. Also,
so as you can see, that is way more complex than just a simple GIF. And even the tone of voice and the walking them through is way more slower and more serious and really simplified so that there's no confusion. So yeah, updates can be small with little GIFs, but of course you can go all the way to the other extreme and really walk them through an update. Also, you want to inform probably when things go wrong. That does happen. Sometimes things go wrong, and then you're going to have to, you want to tell your customers. You don't want them to find out on their own. But when things go wrong, or when things go wrong on the customer side and they just can't figure it out and they get frustrated, there's already a lot of content, like I showed before, that you can create to help reduce that frustration. FAQ videos, how-to videos. Those hopefully will answer a lot of the times when things go wrong for customers. But sometimes cases are unique, or they still can't figure out. And then that's when I think one-to-one ticket support videos can be really powerful. What are they? Well, basically think about if you're getting an email and they're like, hey, I need help with this. Well, a lot of times, sometimes you'll get sent back a long email describing, this is how to fix it. And it looks like rocket science. You're not sure what it means. It's not your language. You're not really in depth with this kind of product or service. But that's where I think a video can make it more human and a little bit more clear. So rather than getting a long text of step 1, step 2, step 3, maybe a small video where they literally show their screen. They say, hey, Jordan, I know you have this problem. I really want to try and help you fix it. Let me show you how to fix it if you follow along the clicks that I'm doing on my screen. And to me, I think that goes a long way to create a more personal connection and really show you're there to help them long-term than just kind of like this standard kind of complex email. For instance, Thrive Hive, I found this example exactly where he was doing the same thing and just kind of showing, look, I want to help you. So let's take a look.
Hi, Emily. This is Stephen B. I just wanted to show you how to add that landing page to your nav menu. So let's start here in your Thrive Hive dashboard. So if you start by going to my website, landing pages, all right, we will see, here's the MVWC Clean Eating Challenge landing page. Now, the quickest way to get
Again, not the sexiest video, but super DIY and can go a long way to kind of be there to help the customer. I remember even talking with Telenet, and they realized, like, you know what? At that touch point, when it's more one-to-one ticket support, we can just take over their screen, and that's usually how it works. We take over the screen and we help them through the process. But then they were like, but the problem is these people keep coming back to us and be like, oh yeah, can you take over my screen again? It's not working. So they were like, maybe this is a good approach. We can just film what we're doing and then send it to them after. So next time they face this problem, rather than calling us again to take over the screen, they have this video that they can walk through with. So I think ticket support one-to-one, you can find a way to optimize it, but also it can reduce that time, especially if they keep coming back to you for the same problem. They can simply refer to the video that you created them. And of course, the problem with one-to-one ticket support is it does take time. It is super personal. It's taking your time to have to film and create this, but hopefully it can also reduce time if the problem is reoccurring for this client. So of course, something to keep in mind, the number of videos you take, the more time it creates, because it's not a streamlined process. It's very personal. But again, find your ways, because for instance, Telenet made sense because the same people are coming to them to take over the screen, which was taking away their time. So this was a solution. So you have to find the right videos. And if it's a common problem that you see that keeps happening, then maybe it's interesting to create a how-to or an FAQ. So we talked about get started, use and discover, pay and inform, and now we're going to talk about feel rewarded. So what makes you feel rewarded? Well, just a simple thank you can make you feel very special, just like a welcome, but even a thank you. For instance, I had recently bought something, and rather than a welcome, because it was a product and it was a one-off buy, I received this little cherry little thank you video. Super DIY also, just a camera and just doing something a little crazy, but it made me smile and it made that purchase feel a little bit, not a little bit, just made me put a little smile to my face, and that does go a long way. And I'm sharing it with you now, so it goes to show that it meant something to me, because when I was creating this content for this webinar, that is the video I thought of. Kind of going on a more higher end and more personalized thank you would be this video from Nike. So again, it's always a spectrum on when you go DIY and when you go, production, and when you go like personalized, which is obviously kind of higher end on the cost range. So for you, it's looking at those touch points. And again, like I said, just seeing what your budget is and what is the most important, and what content could you make on a small scale, and what content do you think needs to have kind of a bigger impact and tell the story in a more concise way, and maybe needs to be outsourced. So again, it's always a range, and that's why I like to show you a range of DIY to really super personalized or higher end production, because I think it's always a balance when it comes to the content that you're going to have as a company and the content that you're going to create. So feel rewarded. I think sometimes these touch points don't always have to just be like triggered by something. For instance, you purchase something. Sometimes you can just have a fun touch point with your customers, which resonates with them. For instance, at StoryMe, every year we create a small Christmas video. We're known for always doing that. This was last year's Christmas video, and hopefully you enjoy it.
I'm Fred. I'm the fashion manager at StoryMe. We work in a very competitive visual landscape, and I think it's important to pay attention to what people are wearing at the office. Could you come to my office? People doesn't get the importance of what I'm doing here. Sometimes they think I'm trying to control them. It's not true. I'm here to tell them what they should wear at the office. I mean, I'm French. I know fashion. I don't think people can do good video if they look like shit. And it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, people are not listening. I think I've already made a huge difference in the culture of the company and the way people look at us. In December, every year it's the same. People are bringing their ugly clothes, they're ruining my office couture. It makes my eyes bleed.
So I just love that video so much. I had to show it. But of course, maybe for some of you, that's maybe pushing it a little bit on the edge of creativity. So I'll show you the year before's Christmas video, which I think a lot of companies could implement as well.
George Michael is overtuigender. Komt meer vanuit de ziel. Bij Mariah Carey komt het vanuit de borsten. Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give you someone special.
These fun touch points don't just have to be for Christmas. There's so many different moments that you can interact with your customers. Christmas, New Year's Eve, birthdays, Valentine's Day. Maybe your office is closed for a week and you want to send out a video to be like, hey, we're closed. International Women's Day, World Cup, you name it. You can find the fun touch points to kind of tell a fun story. I think it's fun because it really stands out in customers' eyes, but also it's really fun on the team side. I know every year when we've created these fun Christmas videos or Women's Day videos, it's fun to just, as a team building internally as well, to kind of get together, be creative, and think of something a little outside of the box. So I think it's fun for the clients and it's fun for the teams. And of course, to kind of go back to maybe something that has a little bit more of a goal, and that would be more win-back videos. Sometimes too many negative things are happening and the customer's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm done. It happens. Every company faces it, but maybe you could even make that touch point videofied and a little more fun. And that's exactly what HubSpot did. If you're a user of HubSpot, you know you get so many emails from HubSpot. Well, they wanted to make that touch point when you unsubscribed a little fun and a little funny with a video. So when you unsubscribed, you got this video.
Okay, I get it. You don't want to hear from me anymore. That's fine. I wanted to make sure you had the best marketing information available. I mean, you clicked on the emails. You know, I saw. I know you clicked on them. I know what you clicked on. Okay, that sounds kind of creepy. I wasn't like cyber stalking. Like I wasn't checking out your Facebook page or anything like I was. Just forget that part. Just forget that part. It was a notification. I didn't even look for it. It popped up.
Oh, it's definitely over. I just blew it there.
Remember when we had that webinar? Remember? You know, maybe if things were just a little, maybe I could change. I don't have to, you don't need email. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn a fair bit. I mean, we could be friends with benefits, right?
So again, you can find, even in these negative touch points, fun ways to communicate with your customers or former customers. and turn something that, again, could be negative into a positive. And I think that's really fun with customer care videos, is you can get really creative to see how can I communicate them to turn maybe something negative into something positive. And again, it doesn't always have to be some complex video, just thinking of a creative concept and a story that works. So last touch point, I'm going to show one video, and then we're going to get to your Q&A, and that's recommit. So I want to show just one case video, and this was from Bugaboo. But basically, customers, they want to show that we're growing with our customers, and they had a new product that they showed. So normally Bugaboo does children's strollers, but they also had a new product of traveling cases, and this was tailored towards the dads. Like, for instance, we were there when you had children, and now we're there as you travel. So let's take a look at the video.
Was born under a wandering star. Wheels are made for rolling, mules are made to pack. I've never seen a sight that didn't look better looking back. I was born under a wand.
Introducing Bugaboo Boxer for working, traveling, and adventurous dads. Experience the power of push.
So recommit is an awesome phase to get the upselling happening, like to upsell and kind of keep them coming back to your product or service, or expanding it so that you can service them better. And of course, communicating it to them. And what better way to communicate in a personal and connective way than video? So that was kind of a bit of the inspiration of all those touch points. Again, there were 6 touch points that I walked through with different video inspirations. If you're watching, of course, it's finding what touch point do you need to improve on, where a customer is getting frustrated, and focusing there, and then expanding from there. So now I'm going to invite Matthias to come on up, and I know you guys had hopefully been sending some questions in on the chat. If not, you can just get to know Matthias. So let's have him come on up.
Hello.
He is a strategist here at StoryMe, as well as an account manager. So maybe some of you watching have met him before, but you've been compiling some questions. So what are some of the questions that there are?
Well, maybe we have to say you did a really great job on the webinar, because we didn't have much of questions. So I think it was very clear, but we had 2. Let's start with the first one. How do you install those pop-ups that contain FAQ videos on your website? It's a really good question. Well, most pop-up tools have the option to embed the videos. And we at StoryMe, we use Get Site Control, for example, and then you can just put on the videos in the tool. So it's really easy to use it.
So our tool is Get Site Control.
Yes, Get Site Control. Second one is a question we get a lot when we go to clients, and is the Luminous case.
Ah, yeah.
Where the
personalized
mail you get, it's how it works, and it's just based on the CRM data from the company itself. So they get the data, they use it, they render the videos, and then every person gets his very own personalized video.
We always get asked when it comes to personalized. So as a company, if you have a lot of data, you can use that data to create personalized message for your customers. So the video will always be the video, but the different words or different parts of it will pull from the CRM to make it personalized to you. And we always get asked about GDRP, but it's GDRP compliant. So they have to, it's not that you just send them out of the blue this super personalized video. They basically can opt to watch it and get this personalized information for them. And that's why it's really important that if you're going to use personalized video, that you do it to add value, that you're not just like, hey, Matthias, look at this product. Like you want to add extra value with that information.
Okay.
So I think those are two really good questions. If you want to dive deeper on personalized, definitely hit up Matthias because, which actually here's some emails right here. So go ahead and email him because he can definitely help you on a more personal level of, is it something interesting that you could use? Do you have enough data? Those kind of things. But also one other thing I want to just highlight before we end this webinar is we have this new, let's say, with this new matchmaker. But basically marketing just came out with this new matchmaker where you can, if you know that there'd be someone who could really use video or could benefit from a collaboration together, fill it in the matchmaker and you have the, if it goes through, basically, there's a couple cool prizes that you can win. Anything from a Michelin star dinner to, what are some of the other things? Mart? What are some things you can win? Just hard cash. Oh, cash.
Just do it.
Just do it.
It's all for your benefit. So.
But basically, if you know that there's someone you would recommend towards StoryMe, go ahead and put in there because we want to kind of reward you back for it. So the link's at the bottom. And again, these are our emails. So if you really want to dive deeper and kind of talk on a more personal level about your customer care, reach out to us. We love to talk about this. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Good job.